I'm trying to understand, how can you keep saying, well, he didn't do nothing about student loans? I don't get it.
Because they don't read. That's why. I don't know if they get most of their news about politics from Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club. I don't know where they get this misinformation from. But if you just go to whitehouse.gov, they have updated information there dealing with student loan forgiveness. So this is important. Now, this is not everything that we want, but you don't get it all at one time sometimes. And keep in mind.
No, you don't get all that you want most of the time, especially when Republicans now control the House. You got a narrow margin in the Senate. You just, the numbers aren't there.
Well, that's what I'm coming to.
And in fact, hold on, Michael, because I want you to, because here's the other thing. Because you mentioned the Fair Housing Act, which is the 1968 Civil Rights Act.
Yes.
Let me remind black people and everybody else, Democrats had huge margins. Let me say it again. When you see those acts, oh my goodness, 300 plus people voted for those, because they had huge margins. It wasn't, the reason it was hard, because the Southern senators controlled key committees on the Senate side. That's why it was so hard. But people act like, oh, they've got 65 votes in the Senate. They've got 300 votes in the House. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
Well, Democrats control the House of Representatives for about 40 years up until the Bill Clinton administration. You had the backlash of the angry white male.
All right, so I always love people when they get these interviews and these networks go talking to them and they go find 2 or 3 black people and ask them some questions. And if they know what the hell they're talking about, then they run it acting as if that represents all black people. So the other day I was watching this, I think it was NBC or CBS, one of them, and they went to South Carolina, and they were like, South Carolina voters are not happy with Joe Biden. So I interviewed this one sister. She says, you know, Biden promised us student loan debt relief, and nothing has happened. $132 billion in student loan debt relief has happened for 3.9 million Americans. A lot black. Well, check this out. Millions more are going to have their student loans dealt with in February as part of the Biden administration's new student loan debt relief plan. Uh-oh. That's a fact, y'all. Right. So the repayment plan is this here. It's taking effect nearly 6 months ahead of schedule. The ban, this deal of forgiveness, was initially set to begin in July under the new SAVE repayment plan, but it's starting early to provide faster relief to borrowers. Borrowers will be eligible for cancellation if they are enrolled in the new SAVE plan. Now, if they originally borrowed $12,000 or less to attend college and have made at least 10 years of payments, Biden announced the new repayment plan is going to not pay anything else. Yeah. Now remember, the Supreme Court struck down his plan to cancel up to $20,000 in loans. Unlike his proposal for mass cancellation, the repayment plan is a twist on existing income-based plans created by Congress more than a decade ago. Republicans tried to block the new repayment plan through legislation and a resolution, but last year they were unsuccessful. So what's interesting here to me, Michael, when we talk about this new debt relief plan, is, again, for the people who keep saying, man, Biden-Harris ain't done nothing. I don't know what they doing. Let me remind people, Republicans right now don't want any of this to happen.
Right.
They don't want, again, any of this to happen. They have made it perfectly clear, oh my goodness, no debt relief. Again, this is real basic, folks. if you took out less than $12,000, and this is very basic, it's right here again, less than 12 grand in loans, and have been you've been in repayment for 10 years, your student debt will be canceled. Meaning that's it. If y'all got any questions, go to studentaid.gov/save. I'm trying to understand, how can you keep saying, well, he didn't do nothing about student loans? I don't get it.
Because they don't read. That's why. I don't know if they get most of their news about politics from Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club. I don't know where they get this misinformation from. But if you just go to whitehouse.gov, they have updated information there dealing with student loan forgiveness. So this is important. Now, this is not everything that we want, but you don't get it all at one time sometimes. And keep in mind.
No, you don't get all that you want most of the time, especially when Republicans now control the House. You got a narrow margin in the Senate. You just, the numbers aren't there.
Well, that's what I'm coming to.
And in fact, hold on, Michael, because I want you to, because here's the other thing. Because you mentioned the Fair Housing Act, which is the 1968 Civil Rights Act.
Yes.
Let me remind black people and everybody else, Democrats had huge margins. Let me say it again. When you see those acts, oh my goodness, 300 plus people voted for those, because they had huge margins. It wasn't, the reason it was hard, because the Southern senators controlled key committees on the Senate side. That's why it was so hard. But people act like, oh, they've got 65 votes in the Senate. They've got 300 votes in the House. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
Well, Democrats control the House of Representatives for about 40 years up until the Bill Clinton administration. You had the backlash of the angry white male. But the point I was making is I find it interesting when people say, oh, nothing's been done on student loan forgiveness. One, you have almost $130 billion forgiven that you talked about. Two, you had Republicans filing lawsuits to block Biden's student loan forgiveness that would have moved 500,000 African-American families from a negative net worth to a positive net worth, his executive order, okay? And the reason why it was struck down is because of Trump's 6-3 conservative Supreme Court that goes back to the 2016 presidential election.
Hold up, and a number of Republican attorneys generals who filed the lawsuit.
Yep. So this deals with who you vote for at the state level, but also for president and the Senate, because very quickly, people forget this, 2014, Democrats lose control of the U.S. Senate. Mitch McConnell, Republicans take control of the Senate. They blocked 103 federal judge nominations for President Barack Obama and Merrick Garland for Supreme Court. Trump becomes president. He gets 3 Supreme Court nominations confirmed and 226 federal judges with the help of Mitch McConnell and Republicans in the Senate, because the Senate confirms Supreme Court justices and federal judges. We have to understand how all this fits together and focus on, this is about self-preservation and political self-defense. When you want bills on this end and executive orders on this end not to be overturned in court, it also deals with who you voted for in the previous election and who was confirmed to the Supreme Court by the U.S. Senate. So a lot of our people don't understand how all this connects, but this is why Civics 101 is so important and Roland Martin Unfiltered is so important.
John Quell, the thing that's interesting, and again, I get it, and it's all about self-interest. I was on Twitter earlier, and this one woman was complaining because she was like, well, physician debt isn't a part, of the student loan debt relief, and that ain't fair. I get it. But again, they couldn't get it for everybody. But again, we're talking, it's $132 billion. This is going to add more to it. So to act like it's not happening, to me, is disingenuous. It's nonsensical.
Well, I think that Americans want to feel that whomever they've elected into power, that they are reaping the benefits instead of looking at it for the greater good perspective, right? Of course, this new initiative, just like the doctors, it's not going to benefit hardly any lawyers either. However, those that need it the most, it is going to benefit, right? And furthermore, they keep trying. I mean, because the Biden administration, after it was struck down by the Supreme Court, could have stopped at that juncture. However, they're still trying for student loan debt relief. And so it's moving positively in the right direction.
Well,
and I think
look, Robert Patillo was on our show Wednesday. He's an attorney, and he talked about how his student loan payments went from $1,600 a month down to $200. Oh, he happy as hell. That's a house note.
Yes.
You're right. That's some people's mortgages. And I wasn't speaking for the entire profession as a whole, but when you're talking about just generally speaking, just this specific initiative for those that took out $12,000, and maybe there are some attorneys out there, other professionals that may have only had to take out $12,000, and it certainly would affect them. But I think that for the greater good, that it's moving in a positive direction and it's benefiting our community. And so I'm just glad that they're continuing the efforts, and hopefully after this wave, there will be another one.
Look, I agree. It just kills me when I sit here and listen to folks who say these things, and also when you hear folks sitting here and say, "Oh well, black folks, haven't gotten this, and let me be real clear, in terms of what has happened. And here's the other thing right here. So Quentin Fulks, who is the deputy campaign manager for the Biden-Harris reelection campaign, he was on MSNBC the other day. And again, I'm playing this for all those people out there. If you hear anybody out there saying how what's happening right now has not had an economic impact or positive economic impact on black people, listen to this.
Yeah. No administration has accomplished what the Biden-Harris administration has accomplished for the African-American community. We're talking about black wealth being up 60%. We're talking about the racial wealth gap being the lowest that it's ever been in recorded history. Record low unemployment for black Americans. Yeah. No administration has accomplished.
So the reason I wanted to play that, and again, I need people to understand, those of you who say, "Oh man, you just sitting here caping," facts are not facts. That's not caping. Facts are facts. Facts are facts. So let me remind people who are watching of facts. There was a home foreclosure. First of all, the closest that we've gotten to 50% black home ownership rate was under President Bill Clinton. Then it came down. Then we saw a boom in housing. There was a housing crisis in 2007 and 8. 53% of black wealth wiped out. Subprime mortgage loan crisis. Black unemployment rate was sky high 2009, 2010, 2011, due to the economic crisis in America, and then it began to come down. So now you're talking about 2012 to 2016, we were recovering from the housing crisis that took place in 2008. I need y'all to listen to me carefully. So we were in recovery mode. We were trying to regain, listen, from 2012 through December 2019, we were trying to reclaim what we lost due to the home foreclosure crisis. And guess what? The numbers are there. Unemployment, it was a record low black unemployment rate in late 2019. What hit in February 2020? The pandemic.
Pandemic.
So pandemic hits in February 2020. 41% black jobs, black businesses wiped out. Mm-hmm. The black businesses that were still there still couldn't access, listen to me very carefully right now. The black businesses could not access the PPP loans because, one, many of us did not already have loans with banks. The banks were really servicing those who they were already doing business with. But two, the PPP loans require us to have full-time employees. Most black businesses had 1099s. What happened when Biden and Harris was elected? They actually made changes to the PPP loan requirements to assist those for contract workers. Happened under them. Now, pandemic 2020, 2021, 2022, we start coming out of the pandemic, but we're still in it. 2023, I dare say, was the first full year we were not in the pandemic mode. It was still there. COVID was still there. COVID is still here, but we begin to transition out of it. What are we now seeing? We're now seeing changes. So what am I saying? And I've said this before. The fundamental problem that we have faced as African Americans is that in the history of America, we have never had what I call 20 consecutive years of sustained growth.
Yes.
We've never had it. This is how it goes for us. Up, down, increase, retreat, increase, retreat. That's what we've experienced. That's why the phrase says when America gets a cold, Black America gets pneumonia. Those are simply the facts. But what did you hear Quentin say? The wage gap between blacks and whites has decreased. Unemployment down. They have been trying to drive home ownership up. So with all of that happening, please explain to me how, oh my God, this is so awful, this is so bad. And here is the last point, Michael. And this is a fact. It is an undeniable fact. Job growth under Democratic presidents historically has been better than under Republicans. Republicans are excellent at marketing that they are the party of business. So therefore, people say, I trust them with the economy. No, you could trust them for tax cuts for big business. So people need to understand facts. I'm not talking emotion. I'm not talking perception. I'm not talking feeling. I'm talking undeniable facts.
Absolutely. And even Donald Trump a few years ago when the video has resurfaced where he said that the economy does better when Democrats are in charge as opposed to Republicans. We know he added $8.2 trillion to the national debt in his 4 years. We know he had the $2 trillion tax cut that helped corporations and the wealthy. But talk about facts. I mentioned this here on the show. Everybody, please read this and stop listening to these disinformation agents. Fact sheet, the Biden-Harris administration advances equity and opportunity for Black Americans and communities across the country. 36-page document at whitehouse.gov breaks down how all these policies help us. Or you could do something as simple as Google, how have the policies of the Biden-Harris administration helped the African-American community? This is the first thing that comes up. We have to do better and stop listening to these uninformed disinformation agents, even the ones with large platforms, because I can listen to them tell they don't know what the hell they're talking about.
John Quell, I understand folks who say, man, I'm not feeling it. But let me also just remind people of some things as well. I hear this, John Quell, Man, Trump and them stimmies. It was a worldwide emergency. It hadn't happened in 100 years. So if you are sitting out there thinking how great your life was because of them stimmies, let me be clear. Them stimmies ain't coming back. That ship has sailed. It ain't happening. That PPP loan program is not coming back. It's not happening. In fact, many of the programs, the assistance programs, Republicans right now want to cut. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that people say when they say, man, I'm not feeling this thing, is because many of the programs that were put in place to ease the economic conditions for Americans, they started expiring. Folks, listen. The assistance, the programs where they say they could not expel folks from housing, those began to expire. The home, the daycare, the child care assistance began to expire. All of those things. And so for people who are saying, oh man, under Trump, and here's the other thing that's that's just the dumbest thing. Man, under Trump, man, things were great. 2017, 2018, 2019, we were dealing with the after effects of the Obama economy and all of the hard work that was put in place because of what happened in 2008, 9, 10, and 11. We were booming from 2012 to 2019. Then the pandemic hit 2020. Trump is only there 1 year. Most people actually were under those programs longer under Biden because he became president in 2021, and then you throw in 2022, they started expiring in 2023. And so people need to get that. And we talk about inflation. I saw one of these idiots in the YouTube chat say, oh, yeah, well, inflation. Well, John Quell, is real simple. All of these businesses, let me remind people, gas companies, other businesses, they were losing crazy amounts of money because guess what? Wasn't nobody buying nothing, traveling nowhere, doing nothing for 2020, 2021. So you know what they started doing in 2022? Jacking up prices. All of these public companies started announcing record profits. That's what was driving inflation. And so this is sort of now where we are. And so people are running around saying they ain't done this, they ain't done that. But you can look at the facts and go, well, actually they did. And the reason our economy has turned around and we're making headway is because of those things that were done. But anybody, John Quell, who's running around thinking that they're going to be raining stimmy checks down like you in a strip club if Donald Trump is elected are outside of their minds.
I tend to absolutely agree with you on that. And furthermore, I think that some people are forgetting that President Obama had, I don't believe it was called an infectious disease group, but he had a group that essentially that would study the infections that were going on worldwide to kind of help prevent the kind of widespread effects that we had with COVID. And when Trump came in, he dismantled that group. And furthermore, when urged to close the U.S. borders, he refused to do it. And so, some would argue that the reason why the country was disenfranchised to the level that it was due to the pandemic was due to Trump's inability to lead this country in the right direction. Because instead of focusing on the important things, he's trying to dismantle everything that President Obama put in place, including Obamacare. So as stated earlier, there is a lot of misinformation out there. And I just think that, we as a community, we need to stop focusing on the short term, small little financial giveaways that are given to us. And we have to look at the bigger picture when dealing with these issues.
And I love these people who go, I love these people who say, my life ain't gotten better under Democrats. Okay. Let me be real clear, y'all. Political parties do not control big business. If you want to analyze the economic state of African Americans, see, I'm about to say something about to really tick some of y'all off. If you actually want to talk about the economic state of African Americans, that has nothing to do with politics. Has zero to do. But guess what? If you want to factor in politics, guess who is more likely to be employed in public spaces when Democrats are in control?
Yes, African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
I want all y'all listening.
Mm-hmm.
City, working for the city, working for the county, working for the school district, working for the state, working for the federal government. Those are called public workers. I can show you when Republicans take control, guess what they run on? Reduce the size of government.
Yes.
Guess where African Americans disproportionately compared to corporate America earn high 5- and 6-figure salaries? Government jobs. So when Republicans come in and say, we're going to reduce government and we're going to shrink government, that has a disproportionate impact on African Americans because there are more of us, proportion folks, who are in government than in corporate America because they've been freezing us out of corporate America. Those are basic, fundamental economic facts. And Michael, and the reason the housing crisis, and guess one of the first places we begin to see the cracks in 2007 and 2008, I'll never forget, was reading a Wall Street Journal article where they were examining a neighborhood in Detroit and several of the houses on these streets, they were in foreclosure, and the article said many of the people who are African American living in this area were public workers.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's my city. I've lived in Detroit 52 years. In Detroit and Metro Detroit have one of the largest populations of African American homeowners decades ago, and now we have one of the largest populations of renters today. But very quickly, you're absolutely correct. 18% of African Americans make up 18% of federal employees. We're disproportionately employed there. And even going back to about 1994, 1995, one of my teachers, Dr. Claude Anderson, in the famous speech, said that when you hear conservatives talk about reducing the size of government, especially federal government, they're talking about disemploying African Americans, talking about disemploying black people. But you mentioned the stimulus checks. I got to say this, because people talk about Donald Trump because he put his signature on the stimulus checks. Even Sexy Red brought this up. But under Biden-Harris, you got $1,400 stimulus checks. You got more from Biden-Harris. He just wasn't vain enough to put his signature on the checks. But you don't talk about that. But that came from Congress. The $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan. The only reason why that bill passed is because Democrats in the House and Democrats in the Senate voted for it. No Republicans in the House or Senate voted for it. Vice President Kamala Harris was the tie-breaking vote in the Senate because you had a 50-50 Senate, and Joe Biden signed it into law. So I don't understand what planet these simple Simon ass people live on, where they hallucinate a reality that does not exist, even if they're on drugs.
Well, I'll tell you why. It is because the platforms that black people watch and listen to spend more time on what's that biggest party and bullshit. They spend more time on that than what we're talking about. And then when the platforms that folks do listen to, or the individuals they listen to, or the entertainers they listen to, these folks are so ill-informed that they are being fed wrong information, misinformation, disinformation, and then we wonder why people are walking around clueless. And I said last night, I don't care who Cat Williams is talking about, because that has literally no impact on any of our lives every single day. And all of the energy that people have spent on who back and forth, who hate, guess what? Right. That ain't changing your economic condition, the housing condition, child care, education is changing none of that. And so I've made it clear, I'm not going to waste time on that. We're going to keep talking about real substantive stuff, because somebody has to be willing to talk about the things that matter before it gets bad.
Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, and we also have the information right here in the thread of the broadcast. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, understanding the transatlantic slave trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Okay, this is a new 10-week online history course that I teach. We're going to do an introduction today as soon as I finish here. And we deal with thousands of years of history and what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. Okay. And this is over 200 slides that I put together. We have 80 to 100 articles that we reference. We have excerpts of interviews that I've done with many of our scholars over the years also that hits on different aspects of this history. Okay. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. Okay. And just at our website, just click here, register here. In the class, I'll go over the lesson plan, because I have a lesson plan laid out for all 10 classes. And we'll send you the lesson plan in so you can download it also. I'm trying to get the link straight on the website so you can actually look at the lesson plan there. But this is my life's work. I started teaching this class in 2007. It's taken 7 years to get the class, really develop it to where it is today. 80 to 100 articles, 15 books that we reference. You don't have to buy any of these books to follow along in class. Classes on sale $80, regularly $130. And we do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. So even after the course is over with, you can go back and watch the entire course. Okay. So you don't lose access to it. I don't want to do that. I want you to be able to 2-3 years from now, be able to still access this class. All right. Also, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. So go to our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, scroll down, and we have the information here for the Cash App, PayPal. When you click on that, this is our official Cash App account, $ the AHN show. SHOW. When you go to it, it says Michael. These other ones are fake African History Network Cash App accounts. I'm still trying to get shut down because people have been stealing money from us. Okay. These are not ours. They're using our logo, all that stuff. I put the link here. You click on the link and it has our QR code here as well. Okay. All right. So look, I have to get out of here. We have the link for the class here in the thread of the broadcast. Also, register for the full class. That helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. If you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization, please email me through the website or email me at ahnshow@theafricanhistorynetwork.com, ahnshow@theafricanhistorynetwork.com. And we can set that up either in person or virtually if you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization. Listen to the African History Network show Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on our social media platforms. Visit our website for more information about that. And watch me on Fridays on Roland Martin Unfiltered, as well on the Black Star Network on Facebook, YouTube, Roland Martin, Facebook, YouTube. Download the Black Star Network app. Okay. Remember, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. And we'll talk to you next time.